that side. Okay. Come on, let's go. There's an elevator here for people that need the elevator, and there's stairs over here.
For the close quarters, but this is the best we have. Well, Puli was, being said, the memory goes back to what was. First of all, the elation of seeing so many young people involved, because I know it will depend on the young people involved. I was thinking of the time when I was this stage. I mean, global warming, I don't think it was in anybody's vocabulary. I'm from a time where I spent 19 years of my life without electricity or running water. So you know how big a lifestyle that is. When you don't have electricity, you eat only certain kind of foods because you can't store meat, so you don't eat much meat. And a lot of it was the force of Puna, Ola. On this age here, our lives were so narrow of what we worry about or think about. And I have so admiration of you younger people here. At my age, everybody's younger, but I mean, I feel they're much younger. For you to spend your time and be involved in this is so greatly appreciated. Because us older people gotta look for somebody my age near, but nobody around. But us older people, it will be, what we do is not for us anymore. We didn't leave too nice a place for the young people. Some of the things we did, it doesn't matter who's to blame because we all are. But from here on in, we don't have much of an excuse of we didn't know, because I think we know. For the most part, we know the global thing, but we don't know the real specific things of how will climate change affect all things that we don't know. I remember learning one small thing, maybe not small for you, but I was asked to go to Alaska several years ago, I don't know, 10 years or more. And the people that lived way up north wanted me to see how global warming was affecting their villages. And the water level rising, covering the roads, and they have to move from the small villages. And at that time, global warming was so little concerned people further south, as they say. And now, we're beginning, and I'm afraid only beginning to really understand how important it is, and that it is now everybody's concern. And I hate to tell the young people this, that there's still some people that don't want to accept it. Close their eyes is easier than facing up to it, that we need to know about it, address it. First of all, we have to embrace the fact it is here. And secondly, we have to embrace the fact that it is only us as people that can do something about it, because we or people cause it to be what it is. And that is a big job in itself, because I hate to say it, because there are a lot of people who don't know, or may even know and don't care, because of selfishness of only what they have now. And looking at these young children in front of us, it's really nice, by the way. And she's a third grader. I won't tell you what I could do in third grade. But it's very nice to see them get involved in this kind of things, because that's who has to carry the ball and make sure that, good things are done. But on the positive side, a little bit, I remember the first time I went to Los Angeles, not that many years ago, for any of you from California or elsewhere. The smog in LA was so bad on an average summer day, it really burned your eyes. And look what they did in a short time to address that factor. So it just shows you that collectively we can do it. We can make a difference, and not just say, we can't do anything about it. So I really do want to thank you for being here. But most important, I really want to thank you adults for teaching and making people understand and making people care about what we're going to do.
We really appreciate it, John, and we're hoping that you can come with us to support the resolution at the county council. You know, we think if we all go in together and we say this is a good thing for the county, this is a good thing for us to acknowledge this. At least that's the beginning step, like you say.
I think us older folks know that there's no greater impact than young people. You know that, right? For you younger ones, know how important you are. Your presence makes a huge difference to us older people to see that you are there, how it affects you, but most important, my goodness, they care. You know, we better care too. It's what has to change. It's almost a lifestyle, you know, to really make a difference. And not Hawaii, it's a worldwide element. Okay?
Mayor Harry, are you familiar with the climate emergency declaration that many communities all over the world are signing? We have copies here, and we hope you'll take one and consider signing Hawaii County on as declaring climate emergency.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate you giving them the chance to talk to you, to stay, you know, to say something, to get their voice up on the table. You know?
The place is yours.
Okay, we had one little girl that wanted to talk about mass extinction. Can you come up, baby?
So she brought her.
Can you bring up
She brought her animals with her to make sure that we knew what she was talking about.
I was looking for animals here.
Hi, my name is JJ.
And she just brought her dinosaur and her snowy owl to say that, you know, we don't want, there's 200 animals that go extinct every day because of climate change and due to loss of habitat, and we don't want that to continue happening. So we believe that there needs to be some changes made.
What was that figure? Did you say 200 animals?
That's what I heard.
Species.
Huh?
Species.
Oh, species.
Thank you.
Okay.
Per day.
Per day. I don't think people understand that we're in the 6th great extinction
And yes,
moment.
that
It's
extinction rate
literally
is the same
occurring.
as the Permian extinction, which wiped out 95% of life on this planet.
Yes,
That's
we're
the
on
same
the
rate.
same trajectory. We really need to take action.
Did you two little girls want to have, did you have something you wanted to share?
Sure.
Tell them something.
Go ahead.
Well, more public transportation and less plastic.
I like that, more or less plastic.
Less plastic.
Just less plastic is not enough. We need more or less plastic.
Kara here is from the university. She has something she'd like to share.
Hi, I just have a statement from the youth climate strike that's going on later today that I'd like to read. So, we, the youth of America, are striking because the science says we have just a few years to transform our energy system, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and prevent the worst effects of climate change. We are striking because our world leaders have yet to acknowledge, prioritize, or properly address our climate crisis. We are striking because marginalized communities across our nation, especially in communities of color, disabled communities, and low-income communities, are already disproportionately impacted by climate change. We are striking because if the social order is disrupted by our refusal to attend school, then the system is forced to face the climate crisis and enact change. With our futures at stake, we call for radical legislative action to combat climate change and its countless detrimental effects on the American people. And they're in favor of the Green New Deal. Are you familiar with the Green New Deal? Are you familiar with the Green New Deal?
No.
Okay. So,
can help.
I guess
I'm gonna
what
let you explain.
the others, basically, I hope that this gets across that the reason why this is so important to my generation is because this will affect us for the rest of our lives. And I think a lot of us feel that we should have been protected, and now that we haven't been, the best thing you can do is listen to us now and take it as seriously as it is, which is to listen to the science and listen to all of the horrible truths that we face every single day, especially as STEM majors. You learn about climate change and extinction every single day in class, and you have to think about how long we've known about it and how little is being done. Just 2 months ago, Trump gutted the Endangered Species Act,
Ew.
which will affect sea turtles actually in Hawaii, which are threatened, not critically endangered. That's all I have to say.
They have a Native American Commandment that beats Moses by light years. It starts out by saying the earth is our mother, care for her. So please take one.
Thank you for sharing.
Ew.
Appreciate your
Oh, I want to read them. Sure.
My name is Louis Antonelli. I'm an environmental science major at the university. And we would like to donate this book directly to you because we believe the time for talking about climate change is over. Now it's time to actually implement solutions. So this is a comprehensive book of solutions and technologies that could employ and help Hawaii County. And we'd also like to invite you to an event on October 19th and 18th at the university on which we'll be talking about these solutions. So we'd like to donate this to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I suggested that I should read this. This is, as I said, actually is attributed to the Sioux. The earth is our mother, care for her. Honor all your relations. Open your heart and soul to the Great Spirit. All life is sacred. Treat all beings with respect. Take from the earth what is needed and nothing more. Do what needs to be done for the good of all. Give constant thanks to the Great Spirit for each day. Speak the truth, but only for the good of others. Follow the rhythm of nature. Enjoy life's journey, but leave no tracks.
Hawaiʻi here has a copy of the IPCC report on 1.5 degrees. It talks about what will happen if we don't hold global warming to the most extreme circumstances which we face. In there is a suite of solutions that we can work on, and we hope that you look at the science and look at the things that are being recommended there, and take it to heart that we need to start acting on it yesterday. Even if we stopped all emissions as of tomorrow, the planet will continue to warm and heat with all the carbon lag that has already been put into the atmosphere. And so we really hope that you help us draw down at the utmost speed the carbon that we've already emitted and stop any further emissions. And so one of the plans that's being put out on the national level is the Green New Deal. And that is something that has all of the recommendations of the UN IPCC reports sort of at heart. And we think that there's many parts to that story, including sustainable agriculture. Many of the demands are in here: respect of indigenous lands, environmental justice, protection of biodiversity, sustainable agriculture. These are the things that will help us get there. And so we're really hoping these are the demands of the youth climate strike, today's strike globally. So, and we hope that you take that package of suggestions and find ways to implement them here in Hawaii County. We're just asking for your support on the resolutions that we've introduced. Actually, Val Poindexter has put forward to the County Council the Declare Climate Emergency for Hawaii County resolution that you have in front of you there. And then we also hope that you do, as mayor, also acknowledge the crisis that we're in and work to advocate for higher levels of government to also take action. And we're going to take this as a grassroots effort from the ground up. We're going to work on changing legislation by advocating and getting our feet to the ground. And so if the first thing it starts with is recognizing that we are in this crisis. So that's the Climate Emergency Declaration.
The severity of our situation by signing the climate emergency declaration would be step one?
Step one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then work towards the recommendations as laid out in that Declaration of Climate Emergency for Hawaii County. It talks about some of the solutions we can do locally, and we just want your support in having us join us in urging our representatives to take this to heart and at the level and speed that it needs to be, and so it can start from the ground up, and that's how it's happening everywhere else around the globe. Over 900 cities and counties across the globe have already declared, including San Francisco, Berkeley, Chico near Paradise Fires.
Today, millions globally are. The march in Afghanistan with the women and children, that really surprised me in Afghanistan.
Is there any way of making the president extinct?
I would like to just say that as a global citizen living between the UK and Hawaii, out of necessity because of my husband's deportation, that as a mother, I really struggle with my own situation of trying to parent my children in that situation. But actually the greater challenge for me is raising my children in today's environment. With the big issues that we're having to deal with today. I believe as a mother that we have the most important job on this planet, and it's the most probably underrated job. We are the ones that touch the lives of every human on this planet, and I think that we have to start having new conversations. I would say that of all the places I can be in the world today, that this is where I want to be, because what we have here in Hawaii is we have aloha. And during the pule, I nearly burst into tears just because I feel that love that we have for each other and the respect that we have for each other. And I like to take that with me when I'm traveling and when I'm living in the UK and being an ambassador of aloha. I think that we have a unique opportunity here to set a tone and a pace for the rest of the world. And these kids are so amazing in having the courage to speak their truth. And I think as parents, we have to move away from the old paradigm of a power over model with our children. We need to be power with. We need to realize that these kids have every right to have our respect and to have our support, because their jobs are going to be really tough ahead. And we, of course, want to be empowering them to change the world, and we need someone to take care of us, right, as we age. So thank you, Mayor Kim, for giving us this audience today and for hearing us and having these difficult conversations, because this is what we need to do in order to make change.
I'm a news freak, and I get up very early in the morning to do things, and I turn on the news to listen. And I'm going to take this opportunity to push my thing. This morning was a possibility of war again.
Yet again. Yeah.
And I've said it for I don't know how many years that I consider, obviously this is very, very important, our planet and lifestyle. But equally, maybe even more at times, I consider war mankind's greatest failure. I've always said that, and I'll say it to every group I can talk to. Obviously, you have the county of Hawaii. I've got good people that does the work. We just do the waha. And they are good people and very committed to what you're doing. This is personal. Everything else is meaningless unless we commit and know that war is our greatest failure. And I think if you look at things that cause a lot of the global warming, it is of inventions for war. And it's just a vicious cycle. So I ask you of your help on that. And I do want to thank you for taking the time. Especially I have the greatest aloha and fondness and admiration of young people that do things outside of playing and having fun. And even that is in danger because of what we have left them. So thank you very much for taking the time to come here. I really appreciate you.
Hello, Mayor Kim.
May I say something?
Of course.
Merle Hayward with Citizens Climate Lobby. But over the years, I have testified in front of the county council on health issues and environmental issues and food safety. And at every meeting or hearing, we had business organizations and community organizations and civic groups on the opposite side because they would benefit from what we're trying to, clamp down on or to change. And I was wondering, does the county really do outreach to the businesses and community organizations and civic groups? Because I think, with all the plans that you have listed here that are already in action, the community organizations and the businesses need to know and they need to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the outreach and education is really important to push this plan, to push, for a better future for all of us.
Maybe this is not the time, but I think it needs to be said so we understand why there is such a battle sometimes of sides. And that is the hardest thing of balance sometimes because of impatience and to some, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? I'll give you an example of Ka'u. Anyone from Ka'u here? Well, Ka'u, the Department of Education did a survey of this and that for free lunches and found that 92% of the families of Ka'u qualify for free lunches. Of Puna, it is of 72%. And this is the difficult part of sometimes of what you're trying to do, to understand that there are some that this is important. But what takes place above everything else in their lives is to stay alive. And that's what some of these businessmen, they're not bad people. I know you didn't mean that. It's just the element of what their focus is on. I know this of a lot of people, and I'm digressing and I'll end that. What we're talking about, this and that, I remember of a life in Allah, of my best friend of life. And this one day, walking to school, 2 miles to school, he had his lunch. And his lunch was a rice ball and sardines mixed in it. And he took one bite and threw it in the forest. I asked him, why are you doing that? He said, shame. I said, what are you ashamed of? He was recounting a class yesterday, the day before that time, where the teachers made fun of him because his meals was not balanced. And his whole life was just survival. And some rice with sardines in it was a gift to him. So know that sometimes of impatience, there's real deep reasons for people that seems to not care. Because there are a lot of people whose life in this world is just survival. And so when somebody gives them a magic wand and say, you can grow more food by using this chemical or whatever, they grab it. That doesn't mean these things are not important. All it means is that staying alive is more important.
That's what's so wonderful about the Green New Deal, is because it takes into consideration the equity of the people who go through suffering and poverty. And we who promote the Green New Deal want to see government funding go to promoting jobs that actually will perpetuate life on the planet, that will give jobs. Because if we have environmentalism and we don't offer jobs to make it happen, it's meaningless because people are still suffering. And that's the genius of the Green New Deal. So it's good jobs, good paying jobs, to help promote life on the planet, and also considers equity in terms of ethnic balance, diversity, gender issues. Everybody's included. Nobody gets left behind. That is a fundamental tenet of the Green New Deal. And so I hear you because my father is a refugee from the Korean War. I heard those stories about how he and his brothers would scramble to compete for a sea ration leftover that a GI threw off the Jeep and fight for that because that's all they had to eat that day. But then here we are with another crisis where all of the good living, all of the industrialization, now South Korea is one of the most successful countries in the world, but the cancer rates have skyrocketed. The Fukushima from the thriving Japanese economy. So now we have different issues that we need to think about, but it's all connected, yeah? And so this is why all the young people are here today, because now those are the challenges they're facing.
And Mayor, for us it is life or death.
All I'm trying to tell you is not in disagreement, and I'll end it with that.
These stories.
You have to understand why sometimes things are a little slow. It's an understanding of the whole. That's all I'm saying.
No, we know.
Okay.
And that's why Green New Deal's so awesome, is because
Oh, I understand what you're
it takes it
saying.
into consideration.
I've fought battles with her in Honokaa on the county.
On my side. On my
Whoa.
side.
Were we on the same side?
Yes.
And we won.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you very much.
They are really on this leading edge of figuring out, and there's so many children that have amazing ideas and want to contribute to this problem and figuring out solutions. So something where engaging communities and having a government space where this is an actual constant on the table, and people are all, every day thinking about how to create this new way of being able to, not new, it's just going back to sustainable agriculture, and how are we going to emit fossil fuels, and all of these solutions really do have, I mean, all of these problems really do have solutions.
You know politicians, and I hope I'm not one, but I know I am one. But you know where I spent the last probably 16 out of the last 20 hours trying to come up with solutions on Mauna Kea.
Yeah.
To know that we have a lot of jobs. This is not to lower the importance of this. It's to be totally honest with you. We have a huge task of different things. I support this. I don't have to, you know, I think my lifestyle will show I support it. You know, it's not just words. And how and where I was born and raised and the kind of things I value. We will support this. We have supported. These are people hired to spend their day, not mine. I'll be lying to you. My task is the total island, the total province. And so know that. I want to thank you for what you're doing.
You know, he brought up an interesting point. 6 years ago when the IPCC first releases the World Statement, and they pretty much asked 4 questions, and that was, is climate change real? And the answer came back yes from the science community, overwhelmingly. Right? The second one was, do humans have a fingerprint on this? Again, the answer is yes from NCAR, from all the world science. The third one was, have we got the metrics? Did we measure everything right? Did we look at it in the right way? That's ongoing. We don't know, right? We're taking the measurements, we're doing the work every year up in Colorado, around the globe. The fourth one was, return to your communities and work with your indigenous people. Because they were here 12,000 years ago and survived the last methodology. What happened? Now that fourth one, I think we're seeing it unpack up on the mountain, right? So I got to fly to Colorado and have discussions with the National Climate Center about integrating data systems in indigenous communities. Coming from the Big Island, let me tell you, it's quite a buzz. You know what I mean? Those guys are like, so what's happening? What's happening? So thank you, Your Honor, for taking your time with this problem, because that problem up in the mountain, as you can see, is a global problem. It's not just occurring in the backwoods. The world is watching us. What we do next matters.
When I was your age, I'm born and raised here. There's a beautiful bird out there called the Nene. We came that close to extinction of the Nene. If it weren't for a man named Mr. Herbert Shipman, he corralled the few that was left on this island on his property. And today, you know, we measure the Nene in thousands. And they've been talking about taking it off the endangered list, which I hope they don't, but at least we have thousands today. And it took one person to start that. And we have more than one person here. So thank you very much for your time.
Mayor Kim, here's the declaration for climate emergency. When is a good time to check back with you?
Well, you have to check with my girl. I got to run to a meeting right now.
At the county council, vote for that on October 1st.
Well, that's the resolution, right? There's two things. There's the resolution and there's the climate emergency declaration. The resolution and the climate emergency declaration. Oh, they are the same?
You know, I hate to be rude, but I got people really I got to go see.
Thank you.
So is 2 weeks a good time to check back?
Look, don't push me like that, please, okay? Thank you very much, everybody.